If you're interested in learning like a pro or just getting better about learning, being able to retrieve that information you went over, not taking notes and then forgetting everything, then this book is a great one for you. I'm going to go into the details of it along with some kind of recommended, reading that would go well with it if you want to dive deeper into some of the topics, and basically just a highlight of my own or the overview of the book and what I found to be kind of the most practical takeaways from it. So with that said, let's get into it. I'm Adam with the Productivity Academy. And like I said in the intro, I just wanted to share some of the more, actionable kind of takeaway things that I found from this book. So hopefully this will resonate with you. There's more to it. This is not meant to be a full book review, but with that out of the way, let's just get into it. So overall, my overall kind of one-liner about this book is that it's a really good reminder of some methods and a couple of new things that I need to improve on. And the bottom line kind of being that the best learning happens when information enters and stays in your long-term memory. And this book is about making that happen. So the idea here is that things have to go through your working memory first, but that space is so much more limited than your long-term memory. Kind of thinking about it as like a buffer where your working memory, maybe you have 3, 4, 5 things you can handle, but after that, you can't just keep, dumping things into your working memory and then expect to remember them months later. It's just not how it works. So what are the things we can do to make that happen is what this book is about. And also, who this might be useful for. If you're finding yourself struggling to understand concepts you're learning, maybe you're reading things that you want to recall, but you're not, this is all good reasons to be interested and spend some time going through this book and the ideas. Again, you don't have to be a student, although wonderful for students. Maybe you're trying to learn a new topic. You find yourself like me reading and you want to have a better way to recall the really important information, then this could be great for you. So what are these big things that you can do? Is simplifying. Think of easier words and rephrase in your own terms. We're going to come back to that. Focusing on the main ideas, and the follow-up to that is start with the basics and add complexity. So if you're getting lost in the weeds and the really small details, maybe you're studying neurobiology and, instead of, going into the weeds and trying to learn every single tiny phrase that every neurobiologist would know, you need to start with the big picture. What is going on here? What are the most important concepts? And then drill down as you learn that stuff. Also writing things down, but you could also, and this is my own addition, draw. It's rephrasing, it's interacting with the material in different ways. Okay, and we'll talk some more about that. So in the book, they've also talked about focus and diffuse modes. If you haven't taken the Coursera course, Learning How to Learn, I'll put a link into that. I highly recommend checking it out. It's free, and it really dives into this area more and gives some really cool explanations of how and why this works. But the practical kind of takeaways from that is that you should take breaks, okay? Don't study and try to cram information in. There's a reason that doesn't work as well. For the vast majority of people, why they say don't cram at the last minute, you can only handle so much information being put into your working memory. So repeat the work break cycle. Maybe whatever it works for you, but 25 minutes, 30 minutes, that's kind of the classic Pomodoro, and then take a 5-minute break. Wander around. Maybe you can maybe review in your head what you went over, but it's good to let your subconscious kind of work on this stuff and then get back to it, as much as you can effectively. Also with this, make plans to study and set some goals for it. It's, if I read a new book and there's something in there, it's, maybe more reference material that I want to read. If I don't have some sort of goal of writing a summary at the end of every chapter or doing something, it's probably not going to happen. And it's great. I'm reading a book. That's not a bad thing. But my recall and my knowledge gained is probably not going to be as good as having a plan in place. And what I just mentioned is something that I'm working on implementing, because I found that by the time I got to the end of the book, I didn't make as many notes as I wanted. I want to go back and find something. It's taking much longer. So I want to now, every chapter, I'm starting to write down some notes, and that's going to go in whatever I have handy. It's going to be a notebook. It's going to be an offline app on my phone, and it just goes wherever I am. So when I'm reading, boom, I can just put it down anywhere. Then I'll have to spend a little time gathering it, but it gets me over that obstacle of saying, well, I don't have my notebook with me. I can't write the chapter summary. So things like that. Yeah, I have a plan and then set some goals. A couple more areas that they go into that I thought was really good in the book is how to improve your reading. And some main takeaways from this would be preview before reading the details. Basically saying, I won't go into the full thing here because they mention How to Read a Book by Mortimer Adler. If you haven't read that and you're interested in really improving your reading, check that out. That's a great book I read several years ago and took a lot of takeaways from, and a lot of these concepts based on better reading and recall are based on this. It's really a foundational book. But the idea of previewing, that may mean, of course, like scanning what's table of contents. If it's more reference material, like what are the chapter outlines? What are the big sections? What is it that I'm kind of going to get out of this or that I expect to take away? Also, reading actively. So by that, asking yourself to restate the key concepts, okay, using the neurobiology one. Maybe you're looking at, something specific, some part of the brain, and it's got a very technical explanation. Can you explain that to yourself in much simpler words? And doing that on a regular basis until you have a firm understanding of it. Also, highlighting is effective, but reviewing it the next day. You can't just highlight. That doesn't magically somehow connect it into your brain, right? You've got to then review the next day. And this ties into another section that I think is good, is how to take notes, talking physical notes. So what they recommend was a dual column method, vertical line down the center, put your key concepts on the right, and then summarize it on your own on the left. And then review the notes the same day and again the next day. There's a lot of apps that can help you with this. I think Anki is one that you could use. I know Readwise for reading books is fantastic for this, and you can, find out what works best for you and kind of use that. And then also taking notes, mind mapping. We're coming back to that. I think that is something they mentioned that is really helpful. And it's, to me, kind of multimodal, where it's not just rewriting. If you're kind of more visually oriented, this can help you kind of spatially organize things, as well as potentially labeling and going back over things, breaking things down. So hopefully this gives you a good overview and some actionable takeaways from this book. I consider this to be another way of interacting, not only for myself, but I watch reviews and overviews like this so I can quickly find out if I want to spend more time. So I think that there's two ways you could go about this with this book. You could head over to Shortform and check out the book there, or go grab it, either a physical copy, go to Amazon, something like that. Now that you've got an idea of what the book will cover, and you hopefully now know if it'll be helpful for you. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave it below, and I'll get back to you.